Yo, what's up guys? My name is Rago and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be doing another wing video and we're going to cover what kind of features to look for in a wing, how to weigh out your options and look at the different styles and figure out what wing is right for you. And I'll talk about the wings that I'm using, but a lot of these features and ideas will cross over from multiple different brands, so you can take this advice and then piece together what's going to work for you based off of your level and what you might be looking for. So with all that said, let's get into it. Alright, so when it comes to wings, every brand is usually going to have a couple different wings, usually something a bit more grunty and beginner friendly, and then they often will have something a bit more surfy or more advanced. Some will have hard ridges handles, some will have soft flexible handles, some will have a boom, some will have more handles or different handle placements, and these things really do make a big difference depending on what you're looking for. So if you're a new rider, I would recommend going for a wing that's advertised to have a bit more grunt or a bit more low end. This is going to make your life so much easier when you're learning. When I was learning, I had two different wings to learn. So I had a Nitro, which was lighter weight, didn't have as many handles. It was a more advanced wing, super stiff, made for more advanced riding, really good for riding swell. And I also had a Freewing Go. Now, going back to back between those two wings, the Go, because it did have more grunt in the wing, first of all, that was a lot easier for me because I don't always have strong winds to learn in. I'm mostly based out of Florida. We have a lot of light winds, and even in Michigan where I ride, a lot of light winds. So having a grunty wing made a huge difference for me. Now as well, while I was learning, the handle placement. So on the Freewing Go, there was Y straps on the handle, which when I was reaching up to do a water start, so much easier to grab that Y strap over having to reach and bend a little bit more. And that just simply comes with time as you get used to adjusting and balancing on a wing. But for example, when I crossed over to a small board, they're very tippy, very much appreciated having that Y strap to just get the wing faster. It was like a difference of maybe like a second or two, but that second or two of balancing a board, if you're new, makes a really big difference. Now, when it comes to the handles, there's things that I like about soft handles and there's things that I like about hard handles. The hard handles, I feel like maybe there's a little bit more of a direct feel in the wing, but on the flip side, when it's cold, you do hit your fingers more on them. It's easier to ding the board. They're a bit more weight. So there's kind of some trade-offs there. They're really nice for the control. The same thing with Go with like a boom. If you're using a hard boom, you could ding your board, you can ding your hands depending on the manufacturer and if they have like a soft or a super hard boom. Whereas like with the softer handles, I prefer them for the weight and the flex, and I believe there's even now some more hybrid handles that are kind of in between, and where I stand right now, probably that's the best way to go is the in-betweeners. But if I have to choose personally, I like soft handles simply because I do not like dinging my board or my fingers when I fall. Now, if you're a more intermediate rider, or if you ride somewhere with super light wind, you might want to consider one of the wings that have a special material. So like the Nitro wing, for example, with the Hukipa. So you get that added stiffness, which means added performance. And then while it doesn't have the same grunt that like a Freewing Go has, they're easier to control when you have a ton of speed, and they're super useful in those light winds where you're just pumping the wing and working the wing. And this is actually kind of something that I think very much crosses over from kiteboarding, because there's beginner kites and then there's more advanced kites and lighter kites, and that gap between the beginner kite to the advanced kite, it was only noticeable for new riders. So let's say like you have you know, a wing that is more aimed at a more advanced rider. While you're new, you're going to notice that difference, but once you hit a certain level, once you get to a certain competency with your riding, that gap doesn't really matter that much, if at all. So if you're an intermediate rider and you're looking at like one of the more advanced wings with a special material that's lighter, that might have less handle placement, losing out on that little bit of low end is not going to make a difference for you, because you're going to be efficient enough to get your foil up, pump it, and get riding. And then depending on your style, you may not even want that much power from your wing. You might be getting more advanced. But yeah, it comes down to feel, ease of use, the handle placement. I would recommend going into your local shop and feeling the different handles, feeling them out. And if you already have a wing, just take it to the beach, get used to the balance of your wing. So every wing's gonna have a slightly different balance depending on where you place your hands on the handles or the handle placement. And some wings, they do feel more balanced than others. And it also kind of depends on the style of riding that that wing is aimed at, but get used to your wing. So with these basic considerations in mind, really ultimately I would recommend looking at the specs of the wing, see who and what it's advertised for. But if you are able to read between the lines, you'll see that the wing will say, oh, this has low end, and then look at another wing in that brand's range, and does it say this wing's made for more high end or more surf performance? That's usually a good cue that that wing might not have the same low end as the other more beginner oriented wing. Have a look at the materials they're using. Do they have a more specialty material, so therefore it's going to be a lighter, stiffer, more performance oriented wing, probably catered more for a slightly more intermediate to advanced winger. So if you're new, for example, by default it's great to go for that grunty wing with more handle options in the Y straps. It's going to make your life easier, but look for cues like, is it a freestyle wing, is it a surf wing, or an all-around wing? And the word all-around, that almost 9 times out of 10 is a cue for a piece of equipment, kite or wing, that is a more beginner-oriented piece of equipment. It's still going to be good for very high levels, and you're just basically getting those benefits that cater to newer riders. Now, as you get more advanced, you could consider trading off for a more advanced wing, something with Hukipa, something with less handle, something lighter weight, stiffer, and more responsive, and you can shed those more beginner-oriented features like the little extra grunt, the extra Y handles, the extra weight, the things that are going to make a difference in your early weeks, months, or even years, depending on how often you get out and ride. But as well, the good news is, with modern wind equipment, you're not going to hold yourself back if you just opted for an all-around or more beginner-oriented wing. Maybe like in wave scenarios later on where you wanted something with a bit more lightweight material to kind of drift and luff in front of you, that might make a little bit of a difference. Likewise, if you wanted to go all out and get the most advanced wing, so let's say you were completely new and you went for something that was full-on performance-minded, well, you can still absolutely learn on that wing. It might just add some hours to your learning curve, whether, again, so depending how frequently you get out and practice, that could be hours, days, or a couple of weeks extra, just kind of figuring out those finer details if you give up something like the extra grunt, the extra handles. But absolutely not out of the question that you could learn. It's not that big of a gap right now. So yeah, those are just some things and ideas to think about and things to look at when you're trying to figure out your next wing. And if you want, you can pop a question in the comment and I'll do my best to help you out if I've heard anything or if I had a chance to try a certain wing and let you know what I think or what I've heard through the grapevine. But yeah, if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you later.